All right. Whew, I recognize some of you. This is great. You know, what is really interesting about what you do and what I do is there's no difference. We do the same thing. As a news photographer, many of you have news photography backgrounds. You're shooting football and track and portraiture and lighting and events and everything in between. And I think that's great. That's what we do. And it's, you know what? We have the best gig on the planet, don't we?
Yep.
And here's my number one complaint is that I hear complaining. And so I want you to walk away from this and remember this one simple thing. Quit complaining. You know what? We deal with bureaucracy, we deal with red tape, we deal with administrators, we deal with editors, blah, 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 blah. We deal with those kind of people. But when we really sit down and we think about what we have, you could be holding a sign on the side of the road that says slow down, construction ahead. You could be digging. You could be doing a lot of things. We get to carry a camera around, we get to look through a teeny black box and make sense of the world, right? That's what we do. So we're going to talk about that today. Do you ever shoot pictures on your day off? We all do, don't we? I mean, we don't want to. Sometimes we do. It depends on where we are. I grabbed that line from Jimmy Stewart in The Rear Window. Have you ever seen that movie? If you haven't seen Rear Window, Alfred Hitchcock's Rear Window, he says that very line. I usually shoot my best pictures on my day off. So the one thing that I've learned through almost 4 decades is that we're always going to have a camera with us, no matter where we go. If we're in Costa Rica on vacation, we're going to have that camera with me. I'm going to have that with me. And maybe it's a smaller form. You know, one thing I've started thinking about is I travel a lot for shooting. And, you know, you carry your, I shoot Canon, and I've got my 200 to 400 with the built-in teleconverter. And that's good size. It's not like a 400 2.8 15 years ago. Do you remember those? Heavy. Oh, no wonder I've got bad back pain. But we don't have to carry all that stuff with us. So the one thing I've been looking at is f4 lenses. So have you looked at the Canon 14 to 35, the newer one, f4? It's teeny. It's teeny. And if you looked at the 70 to 200 f4, it's teeny. I mean, we can carry one body, couple lenses, and we're gonna, it's like, we're not even gonna notice it, are we? So let's get into some photography, and you know what, we'll make it a discussion too. If there's something that comes up that you want to chime in on, let's do it, of course. If there's something that you can teach me, let's do it. Because we're always learning, aren't we? I mean, that's why you guys are here. And I would encourage you to continue your further education in photography. For me, I'm a member of National Press Photographers Association. And so we have these things called short courses and workshops. And it's like, I want to go to every one of those I can go to, because you never not go away without learning something, do you? I mean, you don't. Or maybe you get the inspiration that just, something you need. It's like, okay, I'm going to go find that project. I'm going to find that photo. I'm going to go for it. And it kicks you in the hind end, and it makes you want to go out and do better. So let's talk about this. So to start with, this isn't really the start. What is more important? I'm going to ask you guys a question. What's more important? The technical side of photography or the scene, the visual?
Visual.
Oh, okay. I'm hearing a lot of scene. Does anybody concur or contrast?
Yeah.
Right?
Is this the chicken and the egg?
Right.
So let me propose this. We were just talking about the Canon R3 just a second ago. If we don't know how that eye tracking focus works, can we capture that prize-winning photograph of the quarterback this fall? Well, we probably get a really nice photo of him. do we need to know our gear? Is my question. Yeah, of course we do. We have to know. I don't know how it is for you guys, but I've got the two of the same cameras, and I can just, I don't even have to look at it. I know where that ISO dial is, and I raise that ISO. Or I know how I can do my compensation dial, exposure compensation. Do you guys use that? I don't know how most people shoot. I know we shoot a lot of manual. We shoot shutter priority, aperture priority. My number one go-to, and it's not right or wrong, but I shoot aperture priority. And the reason I do that is because I want to control what's behind the subject. So when I use aperture priority 85% of the time, 80%, I'm always using that compensation dial because these new cameras are great, but it's always, you see that black surface and it's gray. Or you see that white surface and it's blown out. So I'm using that all the time, all the time. Does anybody always shoot manual, strict manual? A lot of you. Okay. Well, let's agree that we need to learn our cameras, but we also, more importantly, we need to recognize what we're seeing. Do you ever talk to people? I do this all the time, and I'm noticing the light, or I'm noticing a shadow, or I'm seeing the backlight, and other people are looking at their phones or they're eating a candy bar. People don't notice what we notice, do they? And that's what sets us apart. That's what sets us apart. We get to see things in a different way and capture them. So we're going to learn both sides. All right, let's get cracking. I love this first thing. We've got the Winter Olympics, or excuse me, the Summer Olympics coming up next month. Let's have a look. It's not through yet. It's not done. Oh, you wait. Stuff starts to break off. Oh, it's not done yet. And here comes our good Samaritan. Ooh. That's like a shortstop. You put one knee down, blocked it, don't you think? So here's one thing I've noticed. And I don't know if you've noticed the same thing. We don't take good care of our gear. Is it because we know that university is just going to give us a new 70 to 200? Is it that the new 400 2.8's coming out? And I don't care if I chip this side or bang it into a wall or give it to the intern. Sometimes we don't care. But it's your gear. You get to take it home and you get to keep it and use it. So that's my plea, is watch that. Now, here's the other thing, is to dress appropriately. So you can notice on his ski boots, he's got those crampons. Now those crampons, if you've ever shot racing, it's an ice sheet. It's steep and it's an ice sheet. And if you're not fitted properly, forget about it. Okay, this is my next thing. I love seeing crashes. I love this stuff. Don't pull up. You are a knucklehead. Okay. You kind of just shake your head, don't you? You know it's going to happen. You know it. And there's a fire. I wonder what could go wrong. Don't mess with the wildlife. And this is the coolest one. Oh, no, wait. There's one more after this. If you hear that little whine, you know it's a really cheap drone, don't you? Ow. It's funny. Have you ever witnessed this kind of stuff? I love this stuff. Okay, now here's some really nice video. Oh. Don't pull up. So, in the spirit of... Do you guys shoot drones? If you don't, go buy a drone. Get the university to buy one. I can't tell you how cool it is. I mean, think about our basics of photography. Just the basics. We can stand there at 5'9" and shoot everything. Women, what are you, 5'7"? Shoot at 5'7". And the world is, that's how we see it all the time, right? We see it at our height. It's amazing. I teach this in college, and the students figure it out after about 10 years. If you get on a knee, if you get on a ladder, if you get a drone, you've changed your angle. And your photography is just going to go up, isn't it? What's our other basics? Fill the frame. You know, remember when your mom used to shoot pictures of you and your brother, and she'd be back in the North 40, and you're just like this little dot in this 126 film picture. Do you remember 126? Lighting. I mean, do we need to say anything about lighting? I talk to my students all the time. I say, look, your odds are going to go up exponentially if you just do it early. If you shoot it late, not even golden hour. I mean, throw out the golden hour, and we just avoid the midday, and they will not do it. My students will not do it, and I show them examples, and I say, look what you could get, and maybe they're busy, maybe they don't care. I don't know. I'm not sure what the thing is, but our other basics. What else? Composition. We talked about the rules. We're going to talk about a little bit of rules today, but what is our vision of rules? Rules are meant to be broken, aren't they?
Exposure.
Okay, yeah. So exposure is a big deal, and stopping the action, and all that kind of great stuff. Lighting is critical. I mean, all that stuff. That's all our basic stuff. But in the spirit of the Olympics. Salt Lake, by the way, is going to probably get the games in 2034. I don't know if you've heard, but shooting that first Olympic Games was a blast for me. Let me show you a couple pictures from what I've done. We know how to shoot fireworks, right? You got to have a tripod. You got to slow the shutter speed. But again, let's go back to our angles. Let's think about this. I think the wide angle is like the best lens ever created. Would you agree? Yeah. Let's talk about 50s though. Here's my thing with 50 millimeters. Who likes 50s? It's nice for the depth of field. Like you get that 1.4, 1.2, and you blow out the background. I mean, I'll give you that. You know what our vision is though? How we see things? We see at 50 millimeters, don't we? Look, we do you can dismiss everything I say, you can grab one kernel of it, but here's my thought process. If I can avoid the normal vision, I do it. I go wide, I go tight. And there is a place for that 50, there is. I'll give that to you. But how do we make a basic photograph better, besides what we've talked about so far? Well, there's 3 or 4 things we can do. We can add a graphic element to our photographs. It's boring, curling. Are you kidding? That's the most boring sport next to ice fishing, I think. We can add a graphic element to our images. What's another thing that we can do to up our game? It's emotion. We add emotion. And we're always shooting action in sports. We're shooting reaction. And I would argue with you that the reaction is probably better than just shooting action. We got to shoot it both. We got to get the guy with his arm cocked. We got to get the catch. We got to get the touchdown. But then what they do after they get the touchdown or the 3-pointer or whatever, we can make our images better with showing that emotion. The other thing that maybe this doesn't represent as well is adding intimacy. And what do you think it means to add intimacy into our photography? What do you think that is? Well, yeah, go. Yeah.
Putting us where you're putting the viewer where they can't be.
Exactly. That's exactly it. And a lot of times I'll put on a real wide lens and get in close to the subject. Get in really close. And we're introducing our viewers into their lives. And that's another important thing. We've got all the tricks with composition and the main pictures. What I tried to do during the games, last games in Salt Lake, is I tried to be where the other photographers weren't. You know how we cluster around each other and gab? It's like, hey, what do you got there? What are you shooting? What's for lunch? That lunch was terrible in the press box. We're just talking yak. What are you going to do this weekend? Blah, blah, blah. Instead of focusing on what we're supposed to shoot. I take great pride in trying to get away from the others. And some will cling, some will want to talk, and you're courteous. It's the golden rule. We treat people like we want to be treated, right? Isn't the golden rule, he who has the gold makes the rules? Which brings up another point, money. We got to talk about money today. It's always fun to talk about money, isn't it? So I try to get away from the other photographers, and you can get this basic shot. Everybody gets this shot. There were 600 photographers at the Olympics, 600 of the best sports shooters in the world at the Olympics, and now probably in Paris there'll be 2,000 photographers there. But instead of getting this shot, I thought, hey, what a nice silhouette against Utah's red rock. How about that? And we're always talking about cleaning up our backgrounds. We're talking about shooting things that are atypical, and sometimes when our equipment fails us, like in this case, this is Jim Shea. He won the gold in the skeleton. That's the skeleton. You can't quite see it, but it's snowing so hard that autofocus didn't work. Who goes back to the manual focus days? A few of you. Very few of you. That wasn't easy. Do you remember looking at your film and going, oh, I got one. Now we're like, there's one I missed. They're all good. They're all good. So this was a manual focus day. We could probably weed out a lot of photographers, couldn't we, if we had to go back to manual? Have you noticed that everybody's a photographer? They're like, you tell them, oh yeah, I shoot for Chico State. And they say, oh, I'm a photographer. I bought my camera at Costco. It was $400. I think it's funny. I just go, oh, good, that's nice. So we accentuate things. Wide angles stretch things. And sometimes we think, oh, we can't quite stretch. We don't want to change things and make those skis longer or weirder. But then maybe we can. Jockeying for position. I'd love to find that one angle, that one thing that just makes it a little different, a little cleaner, a little better. And as soon as they cross the finish line, they can see the time up there, and it's like, we won. So here's my other plea to watch your camera gear. This camera sat in the snow all day long. It's like, who owns this camera? Can't you at least put a hat over it, or do something? Quit putting your cameras in harm's way. I mean, what's our worst stuff for our cameras? Water and sand, right? I mean, those are the worst things ever. Okay, watch this video. See if you recognize the guy in the gray shirt. It'll keep going. Hang on. Oh, I went down like a sack of potatoes. So in our quest to get in there close, to get that intimacy, to get that emotion, sometimes we get in harm's way. And I always tell my students, it's like, I don't want you shooting spot news and getting run over by a Mack truck. Be careful. But in this case, I was backpedaling, and somebody stepped on my foot. And the only thing I can remember is one of the guys, they just won the state championship. And one of the guys says, well, pick him up. It was hilarious. And they were nice to me. And then they went on and celebrated more. I'm glad somebody shot that video. I'm so happy to have that. Yeah, that's true. I was embarrassed is what it was. So if you look very closely, you're going to notice a javelin through somebody's leg. And this is a guy that worked for the Standard. He worked for the Standard. He was an ex-Marine, and he was shooting the state track championship. The photographer, the news photographer, that's the ex-Marine that got the job shooting news photography, is the one that shot this picture. He shot it himself. So he's at the state meet, just a mile from here, over at BYU, just a mile from here, and he's shooting the discus, and he's getting a little more, I got to get a better angle, I got to get a better angle, I got to get a better angle, and he's inching over toward the javelin. Well, the javelin guy hucks it, and this is a state record, okay? He hucked it. And there's a little news article, I wish I would have brought it. He said, my heart stopped after he threw it, because he sees a guy way out there, and he sees the trajectory. And this guy is in the worst place he could be. So what they did is, you can see it didn't go through the muscle. It kind of went through the front of the shin. And they cut it off. They cut off the javelin, sent him to the hospital, got it fixed. The coach, the quote in the paper from this guy's coach that threw the javelin said, I'm glad we brought a second javelin. Can you believe that? So this guy won the whole state because he just launched it. So beware, be careful, or at least have somebody by your side that can watch and be your sidekick. You know, I think that's important too. Sometimes we have assistants, photo assistants, and sometimes we don't. Wouldn't you rather have them carry all the lighting? Wouldn't you rather have them carry the big lens and the water and all that stuff? So take an assistant. So let's talk about when you guys aren't at the university, okay, shooting. Who likes to go on vacation? 2 of you? I like to go on vacation. And I've been incredibly blessed to be able to do that. So for what I do, I get to travel around the world. I'm at 70 countries, 70 right now. And what I'll do is I'll shoot my assignment, and then I rent a car, and I'm gone. And I always pack in a couple days to go shoot the light, to shoot the scenes, to shoot whatever. This is actually in Utah. To shoot the scenes and shoot the stuff that interests me. And so this is one way that I feed my soul, my photo soul, is that I'll take a day, 2 days, and go see what I can see. And if you think about it, it's not, you're getting paid to go wherever you get to go anyway. Why not go see some things? And then sometimes I'm kind of surprised. This is Angkor Wat in Cambodia, and they happen to have all these 200 monks that were there celebrating something. And it's like, are you kidding? These guys are all getting hauled around on this little 100cc motorcycle. And so as I travel, I like to take that time. And do you guys try to hurry back? After your assignments, do you hurry back and try to get back? And it's like, my boss is going to need me to do that student picture of the student president. So here's my encouragement to you. Number 1, keep a memoir. And you know what I mean? We just take a few notes. Today I shot so-and-so. It went smooth as silk. I loved it. Whatever. Talk about what you did. Here's one thing in my memoir. I was shooting a wedding. And there was a pond, and the couple was getting married. And I thought, oh, this will be a great shot. I'll go across the pond, and I'll shoot through the pond, reflection, what we do. And I thought, I need a different lens. So I pulled the lens off. I grabbed my other lens, put it on. I just was traveling very light. And I dropped the lens. Clunk on the rock, splash in the pond. Yeah, I did that. And everybody stopped and looked at me. The wedding stopped, and I'm standing there. And it's aggravating, but it's funny. And so I wrote about that. And you will be surprised. You'll be shocked as you go back and you look and you say, and you see what you've done. Because we think we're going to remember. We think we will. We do not remember. This ministry tour, this prophet of the LDS Church, 35 countries. And I can't tell you about less than half of that. I can't. It was so fast that I can't tell you how quickly it went. Maybe we're shooting abstracts. Could we take our drone with us? Yes, I almost always take a drone. But on one occasion, I'm going to show you a multimedia piece I did. I took it into Kenya. Does anybody know what's going to happen next, what I'm going to say next? They don't allow drones, period. They saw my drone, they took it from me and said, thank you very much. That's it. So we have to be aware of the laws, the regulations. We have to know these kind of things. But if we can take this minimal gear with us and see those kind of things, I think we're better for it. I just think we're better educated. We shoot some of the most fun things on the planet, and we get an education for that. We can further that education. And if it's somewhere where you can sail on the Nile River with a man dressed traditionally, geez, I'm happy to do that kind of thing. Now, what do we do though? If let's say you're on vacation or you're on a trip somewhere, and you have your significant other by your side. They put up with a lot, don't they? It's like, no, we can't shoot this now. We got to come back. We got to come back when the light's better. How do you deal with that? What do you do? What do you do?
Uber back.
You're going home. Get out. Get out. You have to have somebody that's kind of understanding, and I think as we do these kind of pictures, we have to realize that they're part of the equation too, and they've got to have some fun too. But we generally want to chase the light, don't we? Don't we want to find those things? And sometimes it's like, I got to have 5 minutes. I got to wait for someone to walk through here. Something's got to happen. And if I shoot this at noon, the picture's nothing. So we got to continue and hopefully find somebody that's sympathetic, and the bigger the group, the bigger the group is that you're with, the worse it's going to be. So this is a spiral jetty. This is in Utah, and there's some funky stuff. You guys are all going to go out to the salt flats, right? And do this. What kind of shoot is it going to be?
Whatever they want.
Something.
Joe and Allie will be doing a workshop, and then after we can do whatever we want.
That's going to be cool. The salt flats are. Well, there's car commercials, there's movies filmed out there. Everything goes on out there, and it's going to be great for you to go there one time. That's all you need to do, one time. Don't go twice. Go once. And I was out there 2 weeks ago, and we were supposed to have the Aurora Borealis show up as far as south as Utah. And I'm ready, and I'm all excited, and I'm set, and I'm on the salt flats, ready to shoot this thing. And the rain starts, and the clouds move in, and I blew it. What do you do? That kind of stuff happens all the time. You guys have got great weather. It's going to be 1,000 degrees, and take lots of water, and bring some money to go bet your house payment on red, because you can gamble out there. Just bet it all. Bet your year's salary on at the craps table. I don't know. Do something. You'll have fun. But we've got this incredible place, even in your own backyard. This is in my backyard. This is Lake Powell. You guys have the same thing. You're from all over the country. We have these great national parks. We have these scenes, these vistas that we can be shooting. Now, what do you do with all these kind of images? What do you do? Is this just kind of fun? You just kind of shoot it for fun? No. You can create your own website. Have you ever gone back and looked at everything you've shot? Not just for the university, but just what you've shot. Is it categorized? Is it available to you? Is it on a hard drive? Is it on a DVD? Here's my challenge to you. And actually, this is a good thing for you. Go find them. Take a week, take a month. Go back through, find these things, create a website, sell a few photos. Why not? Why couldn't you do that? I mean, we're here to make, some money just came up again. Do we do this for money? Yes. Okay, we'd be lying if we didn't. But, I remember starting out in photography, and I was in pre-dentistry. I was going to be a dentist. And my brother said, take this darkroom class. Take a black and white darkroom class. It's a great elective. You got to take electives anyway. So I did it. And it's like, that's it. That's it. I'm doing that. My mother cried when I changed my major. But I knew going in, I wasn't going to make any money as a news photographer. I mean, very little money. And I thought, I'm going to be poor. At least I'm going to enjoy my photography. I'm going to enjoy it. And I don't care. But here's what I found. Here's my words of wisdom. Here's what I found. As you do your craft, as you do photography, you do better at it. You excel at it. And then soon other people notice that you're doing well. And opportunities come and the money follows. It's kind of a circle. It really is. It's really interesting because, yeah, we want to have the finer things. We want to be able to go where we want to go. And we want to do what we do and buy that camera, or do that thing. But is money our driving force? And I got to tell you, it's not. We have to have a passion for what we do. And so that takes me to another thought. If we, this is in Africa. This is in Kenya. If we, what's my thought? It kind of goes back to the griping and complaining and the money. There's a study that's been done, and it's on gratitude. And this is, I swear this is a key to life. The thought is, this was a beautiful sunset in Tuscany, Italy. And it's like, I saw this during the day and it's like, oh, that has potential. And so I made a purposely trip back just to get this shot. But the gratitude idea is this. If we are constantly kind of in a negative vibe or we're around negative people, we tend to go that direction. We drive that direction. And if we go the opposite way, if we appreciate the things we have, it's a gratitude thing. Is it family? Is it our jobs? Is it that sunset? Is it the little things? I saw a hummingbird. Whatever it is, your lives are automatically happier. And it's that simple. It's really weird. Oh, that is the sacred monkey forest of Bali. And he came and sat on my head and he scratched me too. He wanted to grab my sunglasses and he scratched me across the cheek. I couldn't find a doctor. And I'm like, what if I got rabies? What happened? Oh, and by the way, I got bit by a dog just 2 days ago. What if I've got rabies? And so I couldn't find a doctor in Bali. And so I went to a veterinarian to get treated. Went to a vet and he's like, nah, don't worry about it. Here's something, here, let's clean it up. Here's a patch for you. And so there's my own safety lesson. So going back to gratitude, we need to appreciate the finer things. It's those little things. I promise you it's those little things. And I can tell you my life's better. Now let me talk to you a little bit about travel, just a couple nuts and bolts. I always have 2 passports. Look, you can see how young I was in the left one. That's an old photo, I think. That's more me. But why do you carry 2 passports? Sometimes I'll go to a country where you have to get a visa. And you have to mail off your passport. Sometimes it comes back. Sometimes it doesn't. Well, you can always use the second one to get in as a tourist. So that's one thing that I found. The other thing, and this is easy, cheap, and important. Some countries you go into, you want to rent a car. And some companies will not rent to you unless you have an international driver's license. You can't show them your Iowa driver's license. You can't show them the California driver's license. You have to have an international. It's easy to get. You go to your AAA, you pay $20, they take a picture of you, stamp it, you're out of there. No test, no nothing. So just for the heck of it, do it. See, there's my picture and my stamp, AAA. Now, we don't have to carry COVID cards really anymore. Maybe that changes, but we do have to have vaccinations. So countries need vaccinations, yellow fever, encephalitis, whatever it is. And so being a little prepared and ready to go makes a big difference. Now here's something I just barely got. And I don't know if this is going to be better. It probably will. But it's global entry. So if you go into a few countries, including the United States, you pass all that big, windy line and say, here. So we'll see how it works. I don't know. They give you this little envelope that you put it in, and it keeps the scammers from scanning your card. It's like kind of lined with something. So anyway, we'll see how it goes. Now, how do you guys travel? How do you guys carry your gear? Let me just show you. I'm not saying I'm right. I'm not saying I'm wrong. But this is how I do it. I've got 4 bags. 2 are, what are those called? Backpacks? Thank you. 2 are backpacks and 2 are those think tanks. And man, when you're carrying the big lenses, it makes a big difference. But it's worth thinking about. And I know there's some stuff downstairs. I briefly walked through, but it's so nice to be able to not have that stuff, because as you get older, like I am, your smaller your back is a little tougher to deal with. And anyway, it takes the load off. It's just like a monopod, it takes the load, the weight off, so you can concentrate on your subject. So do you guys do video multimedia for your websites, for your school's websites? Some yes, some no. Here's something that I think is really fun to do, and maybe you can try this. But as you're shooting, you can use all your stills, add a little bit of video, add a little bit of nat sound, add an interview, and throw it all together. You go 1 minute, 2 minutes. We always keep these short because they make a big difference. So let me show you one. This is a star at BYU, Jimmer Fredette. He was the leading scorer years ago. Anyway, I'll let you, he'll introduce himself.
I never let a shot go unwasted. I'm always going to shoot it, no matter how much time's on the clock. I've made those shots before, whether it's in practice or in games. So I'm like, hey, if they're not going to guard me, I'm going to take a shot at it. I mean, it's just one shot. You get an opportunity, you might as well shoot it. And last night, it was pretty long. It was about 3/4 court when I shot it. So it was, one of the longer shots I've ever made. And as soon as I let it go, I was like, oh, that's got a chance. Right now I'm in Shanghai, China, playing for the Shanghai Sharks here in the CBA, and enjoying every second of it. It's been a great opportunity.
Isn't that crazy? They're into basketball.
Yeah, Brigham Young, that was some of the best times of my life. Have my lifelong friends that I've met at BYU, had a great coaching staff, obviously. I met my wife there, so it has a special place in my heart. And then transitioning into the NBA, I had some great times in the NBA, had some not so good times. I always like to describe my time there maybe as a little inconsistent, but it's part of the story, which is great, and it led me here to the CBA, which I've had an amazing time in. There's a lot of difficult things that go into being in the CBA, but there's a lot of great things and a lot of advantages as well.
Which is crazy.
And, I feel like I've made a great career here so far, and hope to continue that throughout the next year and see what happens from there. The nickname here is Jimo Dashen, and Jimo sounds like Jimmer. In Chinese, Jimo means lonely. So you'd hear people say Jimo, Jimo, and it translates to lonely. So because of that, they called me the Lonely Master, and that's what the Dashen part is. Jimo Dashen means you're lonely, but it's a good lonely. It means you're on top and no one is around you, basically. So you're kind of on, you're up on the mountaintop by yourself, and it's meant to be a really good compliment, which has been great for me.
Okay, so why not tell stories? Our whole idea, our whole joy, at least my joy, is the creativity. We don't want to shoot mug shots. We don't shoot headshots. Okay, next. Oh, good. We'll put a big softbox in here. Ooh, that's creative. No, I'm just saying we want to pick our own projects. So I know we're pressed for time, but why not do something that you enjoy? So here's my encouragement. Find something, maybe it's this, maybe it's not this, but we find our projects that we can do and enjoy our lives even more. It's like you go home and it's like, oh man, you're not gonna believe what I'm working on, blah, blah, blah. This is good. So I would encourage you to not just get through the day, but to maybe find something, and your university will say, hey, look, we got this professor, or we got this student that's doing this and that. Why couldn't you do something like this for the website? Let me show you another. Oh, wait, I gotta stop. Did you notice that photographer in China? She was about 85 years old, just really short gray hair. She's 85, and she acted like she was 20. Why can't we be like her? That's what I kept thinking. It's like, you're 85 and you're shooting a NBA game or their CBA game. It's like, how can that be? Anyway, sorry, I go back. Oh, wait a second. So this, I was on assignment in Kenya, and I thought, you know what, I'm going to do something that can be published. And so then I put this together, and a lot of times you can have the subject tell their own story, like Jimmer did. This one I had a KSL reporter voice this over. So anyway, let's watch it.
As the day ends in Kenya's Masai Mara National Reserve, the beauty of the wildlife can be seen in all directions. The vast, majestic population of wildlife is world-renowned. The chanting of Masa tribesmen adds to the surreal feeling of being in the Serengeti. Joyous celebrations and blessings at the Kalamoni Mission Hospital and St. Teresa Parish in Nairobi occurred not far from the reserve. Joseph Carbone, founder of the Salt Lake-based Eye Care for Kids, set up a vision clinic.
I can make a pair of glasses. I've been doing that for almost 50 years, and here is the perfect opportunity for me to give back.
Is that clearer?
St. Teresa Parish sisters are being trained as technicians and will run the eye care clinic for future patients.
The beauty of God creation is something great. So with the eyesight, you are able to see that and appreciate what God has done in the world.
Eye surgeons from Las Vegas and Jamaica also volunteer to diagnose and perform eye surgeries for both adults and children. An 8-year-old girl named Precious needed surgery for her dislocated lens.
Well, I feel great, it's very satisfying, to serve people. It's, you can explain it very well, but you feel good when you see the smile of the kid after the surgery or after giving glasses.
We need to take what we've learned and bless the lives of others. I really believe we've been entrusted with the sacred responsibility.
My eyesight means a lot to me because that is the lamp of the body.
There are currently 10 eye care for kids clinics in the United States. The clinic in Kenya was the first international one. 5 more clinics are planned for Africa in the next couple of years.
I want to spend the next 10 years here or somewhere where they're so totally disadvantaged that they don't know where to start. They don't know how to even take the first step. I want to be here to do that. This is where I want to be, and this is how we change the world. With love, with kindness, with doing for others that which they can't do for themselves.
So,
Carol Makita, KSL 5
couple
News.
things here. They talked about blessing the lives of others by giving back, the eyeglass maker did, and the doctors did too. So what is our charge as photographers? What is our charge? Do we just kind of keep our own clients like this? Do we make the other guys do the crappy stuff while we get the good stuff? Well, yeah. I mean, as we get seasoned and we do this more for more years, yeah, we get the we get the cream of the crop. But what's our charge as photographers? You know what it is. I mean, look, we have a chance to be mentors. We have a chance to give somebody a leg up. If we see something from somebody, a student, an intern, a fellow photographer, we can encourage them, can't we? I think this is totally understated because I'll give you an example. So I see about 1 student every couple semesters that I think, holy cow, this person actually has a future. I can see that they can see. And man, I'll give them all the love I can. Ooh, I said that wrong, didn't I? I said that wrong. I'll encourage them the best that I can and let them know. Because, sometimes, do you remember back when you're shooting and you're learning how to shoot and you're just like, I don't have any idea what I'm doing. I'm just shooting. And that looks okay. Here, I'll turn this in. That's how I was. I don't know if you were. Maybe you were brilliant from the beginning. I was not. And we have to learn and we have to grow. And if I can see somebody and I can pat them on the back, or I can say, hey, email me your portfolio. I'm going to tell you what, blah, 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 blah. Get rid of that, add this, look for this. I'll do that every day. And so that's my encouragement to you guys is you guys are seasoned. You guys have been there forever. And we have a lot of youngsters that are trying to break in. Is the world, are we like realtors? Realtors are like, there's like one on every block in your neighborhood, isn't there? Maybe photographers are that way too, but we serve a purpose and we do some incredible things. And we educate people and we entertain people and we provide for our universities and we do all these kind of things. So I would say give back. Could we agree on that? Get a chance to give back? Okay, good. Let me talk about projects. A lot of times we're shooting one picture. It's like I got to come back and I got to have one photo. I got to have one photo. What about our photo essays? Do you guys ever do essays, like moldable photos? I think there's such a great room for that. There's tons of room for that, and I'm always looking for the project that I can do that. I'll tell you one project that I'm just dying to do, and it just has never come together. There's a guy that was a race car driver, and I'm thinking I'm going to do a multimedia piece. I'm going to do a photo essay in the paper on this guy, and he was racing and crashed his car and it burned, and he lost a hand, and he lost all his fingers on his other hand. I'm thinking, wow, that's horrific, and I bump into him and he tells me a story and he says, but I want to put my race car back together and I want to race again. Are you kidding? What a great story. I'm looking for those kind of stories all the time. So I go out and I get him tinkering with his car and working on the engine and going and volunteering up at the hospital. Volunteers up there, and I'm shooting all this stuff and I'm thinking this is going to be terrific. And he's planned a race in Las Vegas. And I'm thinking that's it. I've got the whole story right there. So I get it. I shoot it all, and I'm in Adobe Premiere. Do you guys use Premiere for video? And kind of the industry standard. And I've actually started producing the video, and I've got the first part of it with him in his car, and I've got the last part of it with him talking about his gratitude and what his future holds. And I'm just going to plug in the race. That's it. I'm done. And he's driving to Vegas. And his car, he gets there and his car, he can't start it. He can't start it, and there's something wrong, and he can't figure it out, and ends up not racing. And I'm halfway there to shoot him in Vegas. So these kind of setbacks happen, and I call him all the time and say, you got anything else going, blah, 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 you got something in the future. But we can look for these kind of stories, and most of the time they'll come through, but these projects, I think, what I try to do is I tailor them on stuff that I like. I mean, what do you guys like? Do you like, I like motorcycles. And I like outdoor stuff. So I thought, I've heard of this Sturgis biker rally. I'm going to go shoot it. And I'm going to shoot it long and wide and remote stuff. And I want to shoot through and against and show the crowds and use the light and show the troubles. And I had a blast. I had fun. And another time we're trying our angles. We're trying our layering. In photography, we have, we're showing emotion and intimacy, like we talked about earlier. But we're also trying to layer those things, and we've got something in the foreground, and our eye goes through the scene, and we're trying to create these things. One thing that I always wanted to shoot was these Carmelite nuns. They have a monastery here in Utah, and I asked them. I said, "Hey, can I come and do a story on you guys?" And they're like, "Nope." Nope. And I'd call them the next year. Hey, I really am interested. Can I'll spend an hour. Nope. And finally they said, okay, you can come for an hour. So I went in, I shot like crazy, and I'm shooting everything that moves, and I showed them that I'm harmless. I'm there to be their friend. I'm not trying to burn them. And I think that's a big part of photography is we could be out for ourselves a lot, couldn't we? But if we can get our sources to trust us, I mean, that's a huge part of them opening up and seeing who they are. Anyway, they said, come back next week. So I came back, and they're doing their laundry. It's like, nuns do laundry? I didn't know that. And they said, yeah, and we pray. That's our job. Our job is to pray for the world. These Carmelite nuns. And so I get them in reflection. And it's like, oh, wait, there's a nun that goes to Office Max? What? And it's like, I want to go. And so I'm going back. And they say, okay, you seem like an okay fella. Come back next week. And I find out they garden. Nuns garden. I didn't know. I just thought they sat there and read the Bible all the time. No, they do all that kind of stuff. And what? They have dogs. I like dogs. I like dogs, except for when they bite me. And they love these dogs, and it's like I'm seeing all this new stuff that I've never seen before. And the viewers are going to be able to see this stuff too. It's going to be awesome. This is kind of the typical picture. It's like they're in quiet contemplation, praying, reading. And this nun that I found out had this incredible story, and I wanted to tell her story. She was a nursing student and a Latter-day Saint of BYU. This nun. And she decided, that's not for me. I'm going to join the Catholics. And she did. And it's like, great. If it works for you, go for it. And I wanted to tell that story, and she passed away before I could do that story. But I got a couple nice pictures of her, and I'm just thinking, don't wait. There's another takeaway. I've got this list. I don't know if you guys do the same thing. I'll keep a list, and I'll say, I want to shoot this, and in the fall, the laves are going to be great here, and I'll do this. And so I keep this list, and I always refer back to it, and I go, oh, what could I be doing? And that was one of them, and I just didn't get to it. So stop waiting. Go do it. I had this fun photo essay that took, some of our essays take a day, some take a week, some take a month. This one took 3 months, and this was a story on Latter-day Saints, pioneers crossing the plains to the Great Salt Lake Valley. And so they did this reenactment, and I'm thinking, I got to shoot this. And I'm thinking, holy cow, we got the mist of Nebraska, and we've got the long wagon trains, and they go to the historic sites like Independence Rock. They arrive there on July 4th. And so they call it Independence Rock. And they've got all their names carved in there and stuff. It's really kind of fascinating. They cross the rivers like they did back then. They try to keep the timing and the mileage the same as the original ones almost 200 years ago. Maybe 180 years ago. I'm not a mathematician. I went into photography. But they did handcarts, and they danced, and they wore authentic stuff. And here's a story that I'm dying, and I bet I could still do this story. This couple met on the trail in 3 months. They had 3 months. They fell in love. And they decided, we're going to get married when we get to Salt Lake. 3 months, come on, really? And it was kind of fun to see them and see their interactions, and I need to follow up on that. I make a note to self, follow up on these guys. But here's the coolest thing I saw. This was amazing, and I guarantee you this will never happen or has never happened in my life. This wagon was going down the thing. The mules got spooked and took off. The driver got thrown off. And I'm sitting there with a 400 manual, and I just remember thinking to myself, stay calm, follow. So the wagon's careening down the thing, it's falling apart, people are getting thrown off. The mules finally break away from the wagon, and it's heading right to me. I set the 400 down, I grabbed my 200. I didn't run, I stood my ground, just like a quarterback running out of bounds. We don't do that, do we? And the mules are spooked, and they're heading right for me. I'm thinking, I'm dead. At the last second, they veered off to the side, tumbled. Everybody's okay. Everybody's fine. Okay, what didn't we talk about that we need to talk about? We're almost pretty much done. Is there anything you guys want to talk about in your lives? Yeah. How's your love life?
So when you're doing these stories, are you going in with a sponsorship
relationship with the paper, or are these kind of like just your own projects?
Yeah, so a lot of times I'm pitching it to editors and saying, hey, I want to do this. Sometimes they'll say yeah. Sometimes they're like, nope, don't have the budget. And so I've got to the point where it's like, if I want to do this, I'm just going to do it myself. And then I'll maybe sell it on the back end. Yeah.
With the modern trend of how newspapers are going and stuff like that, are you still getting like as much like exotic assignments to travel and things like that?
Yeah, so I'm kind of in a unique position. So my paper is kind of a mid-sized newspaper, but they have this big budget. Have you ever heard that before? You never hear that anywhere. They have this budget that they want to cover certain ideals and ideas, and it's not necessarily a news story. It's more of a talking about faith and family and those kind of things. So they have this budget, and a lot of times they'll just say, go for it. Yeah, it's very nice, very lovely. You guys have been lovely, 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 and I hope you have a great conference, and I wish you well.